huge mistake that can lead to massive weight loss with Cagrisema versus Zepbound weight loss. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I made a huge mistake. Not huge, but it's a mistake enough that I need to devote its own episode talking about it today. Fixing my Cagrisema episode. And we don't know each other, hi friends, I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 106 pounds the last 26 months, so 2 years and 2 months being on Mounjaro, Zepbound, and tirzepatide compound. And I'm a super GLP-1 enthusiast. I have a daily show. And a few episodes back, I talked about the new updated study that came out from Cagrisema, which is it was the video where I was talking with my Godzillas of all of the upcoming GLP-1 medications that are coming out and comparing them with most recent data of Cagrisema. And typically when I make a mistake, because I'm human, I'll just update it on my next episode within it. I'll change something within the comment, like I'll change it within the description, and I'll make sure, and I'll talk about it in my free encouragement group. All of the sources, by the way, that I'm going to be citing today will be linked in the description link so you can check for yourself, of course. And on that video of Cagrisema, I made an error in reporting the data that for you as a viewer can skew that, and to me could lead to problems. And I, as a viewer, I try to live by the golden rule of how would I want to be treated. And if the shoe was flipped, that data was incorrect for you to make an accurate decision for yourself on Cagrisema versus Zepbound weight loss. So what I had said, I'm just going to recap the video briefly and then go into the mistake and then go into fixing that mistake of the information so you have factually correct information. And in the day and age of where things are not factually correct, particularly with more and more AI coming out, I want to make sure I'm known as a factually correct individual, or at least trying my best to be. So I talked about how Novo Nordisk is the manufacturer of Cagrisema, but also the manufacturer of WEGOVY and Ozempic. They are making Cagrisema, which is in clinical trials. And a new clinical trial had come out, REDEFINE 2. And in that previous video, I talked about it, about the weight loss results versus that of Zepbound. Zepbound has about 22% weight loss over 70, I'm doing this off the top of my head now, 72 weeks. And WEGOVY was around 15% over weight loss over 68 weeks. And Cagrisema was falling in line with that. And I said, I was giving the data, but then I also said, I'm on Zepbound 15 milligrams, highest dose. I need to dose up. There's nowhere else for me to dose. And I know many of you are behind me in this journey of taking Zepbound or on the same path as me. We started around the same time frame. And some of you are experiencing what I'm experiencing is my body simply just needs more GLP-1. That there is a wide spectrum of obesity. And so different spectrum of obesity are going to need different treatment plans. Some people, they're going to lose all of their weight on Zepbound 2.5 milligrams or Mounjaro 2.5 milligrams and be golden. Some people, like me, are not. And that I am clawing, gripping, scraping. This is really hard for me at Zepbound 15 milligrams, doing shots once a week. That is not cutting it. And there's other solutions, and I'll talk about that in another video about medications that I can but that is currently with what is out there on the pharmaceutical market from brand names like Mounjaro, Zepbound, WEGOVY, Ozempic. That is the cap, is Zepbound. And I'm on the cap of the entire GLP-1 market for brand names. So with that, I was explaining that and sharing that about why I report on breaking news with retatrutide. That is still the Godzilla of GLP-1 medications. But in addition to Cagrisema, there are the two ones that are out of, so Eli Lilly has 9 obesity medications, for example, in their pipeline alone, let alone Novo Nordisk. Eli Lilly makes Zepbound and Mounjaro, Novo Nordisk make WEGOVY and Ozempic. So there's a lot coming down the pipeline, which is so exciting for the GLP-1 community, which means we'll have choices, which means the prices will reduce. This is also, as an economist daughter, a pricing thing I'm really, really excited for. But in that video, I had shared that REDEFINE 2 and Cagrisema is for type 2 diabetics. And that is where the data in which I was delivering it could be perceived differently than the manner in which I would like it to be and comfortable to believe. So the article I had talked about was talking about type 2 diabetes, but I was framing it from the standpoint of just obesity, not obesity with type 2 diabetes or just type 2 diabetes. And we know that, because many studies have been done on it, people who are most successful on GLP-1 medications are typically women, but also people who are not type 2 diabetics, meaning type 2 diabetes patients lose substantially slower weight. it simply takes longer of a process and less. And so in that delivery, the manner in which Cagrisema, the new GLP-1 medication, which I'm so excited about, the cut and chase of it is it's a lot more weight loss than what I had reported on. And in fact, it looks like it's more than tirzepatide. And so if that's the case, then it's higher than Zepbound 15 milligrams. In the clinical trials, more research is still needed. It's still going through clinical trials. We're not going to see that on Marketplace at all in 2025. And so keeping perspective on that, but how giddy and excited I am to realize I actually did make a mistake. And this actually is great news that I had misinterpreted, but I wanted to correct my wrong. So you knew if you are on a weight loss journey and you continue to titrate up like I did, and you're like, I want to keep titrating, but there's nothing else coming. And in the pipeline, there's only retatrutide. Cagrisema is not out of this fight, which is why I wore my Jaguar shirt today, is because the study that I had referenced, and if you want to go back, and I'm not going to recap that, I gave you the recap. I'm not going to go through that whole video again, but if you do, it's in the playlist. The article I talked about was a trial for diabetes. You may recall diabetics lose less than 1/3 of weight on average of GLP-1 than non-diabetics. So tirzepatide trial where patients lost 22% of their body weight, that was for non-diabetics. And if you're comparing non-diabetics versus diabetics, diabetics are going to lose every single time, type 2 diabetics. When I say diabetics, I'm going to be referencing type 2 diabetics, not type 1 diabetes, just to be clear on that as I go through this video. So Cagrisema was for type 2 diabetes, which I did say in that video, but just to be clear, to make sure I'm being fully transparent and clear. But it's not a realistic comparison if you're comparing that Zepbound for non-diabetics, 22%, versus the 15%, 15.8% for Cagrisema. That's not a fair fight. That's not a fair fight. And so 15.7%, I said 15.8, it was 15, it's 15.8, is exactly the same as the Cagrisema diabetes trial. Oh, and WEGOVY, that gets about 10% loss when the trial is for diabetics too. So it was a tie between Cagrisema and Zepbound. It's a tie. Not really. It was a tie. Not really, because the Cagrisema trial had different rules than tirzepatide. So this is why. So I got this from Clokey, one of our awesome viewers, Clokey. Many of you guys met Clokey at my meet and greet when we were in Vegas, when we had the meet and greet together, which we'll be doing again in Austin, Texas in April. I hope you guys can come. More information will be on my email list and also my free encouragement group. But talking about the tie, it's not a tie, because Cagrisema had different trial rules than the tirzepatide one. In the tirzepatide trial, everyone had to titrate up the doses every 4 weeks. No choice, unless you got sick or quit the trial. You had to keep going. Now imagine, I have talked about this before, just having to be mandated to go up. We know that titration can cause 4 common gastrointestinal symptoms: diarrhea, constipation, nausea, vomiting. Can you imagine having to continue to titrate up when you already have diarrhea? Typically, when we're like, oh, you're having diarrhea, don't titrate up. Pause on that dosage. And so the fact that in tirzepatide, they made them continue to go up on doses, of course they're going to lose a ton of weight with that too. Can you imagine just losing, I'm just throwing it as a hypothetical, but putting our thinking caps on to think further about this, of continuing to go up on your dosage when you're having side effects. You're being made to, but it's saying if you got sick, unless you got sick. And so obviously they're not making them go if they're like having tremendous sickness. Of course, like if you got sick, so to be clear on that, if you got sick or quit the trial, you had no choice. Everyone was doing it at the same pace. So it was all consistent across the board, which is fascinating. Okay, so in that one, almost everyone got to the top dose of tirzepatide pretty quickly, because we didn't have a choice to go at your own pace. But in the Cagrisema trial, about 62% of patients in that trial got to the top dose, which I noted. But only 62%, as opposed to 100%. Remember, it was 100% of the tirzepatide people, unless they got sick or unless they quit. So that is going to, you see how the data can very much be confused, or not confused, but it's not a fair apples to apples measurement. It's not, you're not measuring the right thing, the same things. So Cagrisema was basically competing at a handicapped, and Clokey is, this is my source is Clokey on this, which you can go back and what he is saying tracks, and I have a source to cite with this as well, because I researched after he emailed me and I was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to research for myself. Cagrisema was competing with a handicap, fewer people at the top dose, that's 62%. So if Novo Nordisk had used the same forced dose escalation rules in the tirzepatide trial, nearly everyone would have gotten to the top dose and the results would have been higher. That 15.8% weight loss versus 22% weight loss for Zepbound was 22% weight loss, Cagrisema 15.8% weight loss. But if you had made the same rules of everyone's escalating to the top, everyone's escalating to the top, and then also using only non-diabetics, the results, they're saying it was a tie, but it would have been higher. Cagrisema would have been higher than tirzepatide's results. And that clocks of doing my research. Of course, I want you to, and I'm going to cite my sources. Let's keep going. By now, we don't know precisely, but we do know it is higher for Cagrisema. Cagrisema is higher than Zepbound. In that one, they'll likely use the trial rules that are more likely what tirzepatide trial used, forced dose escalation. So that one reports probably in Q3 of 2026 or so. We should have that apples to apples idea of how effective Cagrisema really is. But Cagrisema is more effective than tirzepatide. And tirzepatide is great. And semaglutide is great. WEGOVY is great. They're all great. GLP-1s are great. They're great. Like, I love them. It's obviously talk to your own healthcare provider. And of course, all of my videos, thank you so much, Lee and Clokey, for bringing this to my attention, by the way. I really appreciate it. And now, citing my source over on biospace.com, they have an article on this. It was dated March 10th, 2025, talking about REDEFINE 2, and then read about the 68-week safety trial, once a week injections on there compared to the placebo. And it was 1,200 people on that, basically. And so it's going through, and it's that is saying what Clokey was saying, it went through and talked about as well. And when we're comparing type 2 diabetes, the data is going to be less. So I didn't feel good in my spirit about not devoting a whole video to this, of sharing where I made a mistake, because I want to have full authenticity and honesty with you guys at all times. That for me is really important. We're all both, I mean, I'm on this weight loss journey. I've lost 106 pounds, but I'm not to where I want to be yet in terms of like my body and getting to that goal weight and like getting there. Being over 300 pounds and losing 106 pounds is amazing, but I still got a ways to go to get to where I want to be as a almost 6 foot tall woman. And so making sure I'm giving y'all accurate data too, so you also can make educated decisions for your healthcare, and you can talk to your healthcare provider about that. Now, I use Join Fridays. I use the discount code QUEEN as my healthcare provider, and also they do compounds. They do both brand name and compounds. I'll link that down in the description link below, in addition to all of my resources I'm talking about today. But this is exciting to know that it actually is higher if you're comparing the data, which is why I always say my videos are to help punch you to talk to your healthcare provider. Your healthcare provider can walk you through these things too, as well. But when I make a blatant mistake, it wasn't a blatant mistake, but the data was skewed in which I was sharing that, and that's not helpful for you. So like I said, I do always want to fix my challenges. Now, let's talk about that. Cagrisema, we know this is going to be a hot second till it comes to marketplace. Not in 2025. We're not going to see it in 2025. So what can we do now for people like me? Now, many of you have suggested, Elizabeth, you can go on a compound. Did you know that you can go on a higher compound than what you are? That is an option. You guys have, I hear you. You guys keep suggesting it to me, and I'm like, I hear you loud and clear. I'm on brand name Zepbound. I'm on brand name Zepbound. And so I'm weighing all of my options, because I'm getting somewhat frustrated. I'm like, I have done my part. It is now literally the biomarkers in my body for obesity that I'm like fighting against, that I cannot fight against my genetics on this, of I do need a higher dose. Could I come off the medication? I could, but I would gain back. We know that 70% of people gain back the weight. And I know I would be one of those people that would gain back a ton. And many of you said you'd gain it back, but then you'd lose it. I'm afraid of that for me. Many of you have done that and have had great success. For me, of taking a pause on GLP-1 medication, I am not to that point yet. I may be though. Like, don't get it twisted. I am weighing right now. I'm in like my weighing options. I'm thinking and collecting data options because I do need to go on a higher dose. And what we have on the marketplace right now, there is now with the compound change rules that have just happened, and don't freak out about that. Done whole videos on all the solutions on that, of that there's still a world of compounds. It's going to be slightly different. And there's going to be different rules and regulations in which we always follow the rules here at Countess of Shopping. So I don't want any shady boots things going on with that. But that is an option too, of going to compound, and then the compounds do have higher doses within that. That is an option. But in terms of brand names, and they tell us, Eli Lilly, the manufacturer of Mounjaro and Zepbound, and Novo Nordisk, the manufacturer of Ozempic and Wegovy, tell us in the literature it's a once-a-week dose, not a 5-day-a-week dose, not a 3-day-a-week dose, but every 7 days to take the injection. And so I feel like I need to be following those rules. Like, this is where I'm like, oh, could I add it with metformin? Could I add the medication with other drugs? I could, but there's rules against that too. And there's so I'm still learning and weighing all of my options. I don't know is the answer. You guys have thrown out suggestions. I hear your suggestions. Keep suggesting them for me, because I very much want to keep the dialogue open, because I know I'm one of thousands and thousands and thousands that we've done great, but we're still not to that healthy weight. And I'm not considered morbidly obese anymore. I'm not considered obese anymore. I'm just overweight, but I really want to be, and I've worked very hard through lifting and changing my eating habits to be in a healthy weight category. And I know that it's going to take medication to get to that last area. So, someone's like, you could take research grade retatrutide and do that with your Zepbound. And I'm like, that scares the dickens out of me, the research grade ones. And I know many of you guys do that. And so for me, I would be very uncomfortable with that. But you do, some people are like, you're so judgmental. Well, I don't really want to put that. I don't want to be a lab rat in that sense. I was happy to be a lab rat and when I first started, because it had been through so many trials, relatively speaking, and those haven't. But you do you also. I'm not trying to be judgmental. We each do our own bodies here, and we each talk to our own healthcare provider of what makes sense for us. So all of that to say, I'm throwing out some of those options because that's what I hear. And I have the privilege of being in front of thousands of people on a daily basis and listening. To me, I put my listening ears on. I want to make sure I'm hearing y'all. And so I have heard you guys of what you guys are doing. And so I'm trying to weigh the options of what makes the best sense for me on that. But also, like, TikTok, can we please get retatrutide and Cagrisema on the marketplace as well? Can we also get this? Soon we'll be in a world of where they are, and obesity will not be, like, what was it, 70%? I'm throwing this out there. I don't have the factually correct information, but it's a huge percentage of the population that was obese. It's starting to drop in the US for the first time. Morbidly obese started to drop, not the obesity category, but morbidly obese started to drop, I believe, as a result of GLP-1 medications. But it's still a large number of people are obese and morbidly obese. And so these drugs are life-saving and life-changing, and I'm grateful for that. But what can I do? I always like to throw out things I can change. I say control, but it's really change. Things I can change, things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. I go back to the serenity prayer. What do I actually have control over? Well, I do have control over my eating habits. I do have control over walking. I'm filming this right now at 7 o'clock in the morning as my family is still like just getting up from bed, so I can go walking. I need to get a walk in today. I've been very, very, very busy with some personal things going on, which hopefully I can share soon, that have been going on in my personal life. And so I've not been able to get my walks in or lifting this week. And I hate it. And I don't hate anything, but I hate it. I hate that I've had to put my walks on the back burner and my lifting on the back burner. And I can see it in my face on today's video. I'm like, I'm puffy. I look Pillsbury Doughboy like for my body type and my body shape. I feel very puffy, and I want to get back into refocusing in on not letting the stress. Stress is what's happening. The stress get to me, and it's getting to me. I am not sleeping well, and I hope I can share all that soon. Many of you guys, I've left Easter eggs throughout all of my videos, so hopefully you guys can put those pieces together of what's happening behind the scenes. If you're an avid viewer, hopefully you've kind of put it together. I think most of you have who are avid viewers. But if not, I will be sharing that soon because it's not all mine to share, but it definitely does affect me directly. I love you guys so super much. I hope that this video has clarified my intention to clarify, to make sure it's clear about Cagrisema, to have that on your radar, to be factually accurate, to fix my mistakes when I make a mistake, that I'm going to own it and I'm going to fix it. That's the type of person I am. I'm not going to, if I'm not wrong though, I'm always the also, but if I'm not wrong, I'm not going to falsely apologize for something or whatever. But I really do feel like I owed y'all a redo to share with you. And I thank you for tuning in. And I appreciate you guys so much. And I appreciate the open dialogue with this too, that we're not alone on this. And the fact that there's this amazing YouTube community. In my free weekly email, if you haven't signed up, it's on countessofshopping.com. It goes out on Mondays and Thursdays. Hopefully that helps to encourage you too of like, okay, what can I do for my mindset piece, right? Like all you have to do is hit play and I can be on the background while you're washing dishes. I can be while you're walking, while you're driving in your car. I intentionally make the episodes 20 to 30 minutes, but I do have shorter visits or shorter episodes too. I've been doing YouTube shorts now because I hear you, because you're like, sometimes they're too long. Y'all, I'm a D1 yapper. I'm gonna keep on, the yapper's gonna keep on yapping, but I do have snip videos and more of those will be coming out too if you're like, just give me the quick punchline. But on my weekly email list on Mondays and Thursdays, there's encouragements, hopefully to help reframe, to refocus, because obesity is a disease, which means it's going to need continuing, ongoing treatment, right? And if we know that 70% of people gain the weight back after getting off GLP-1 medication, and many people do get off GLP-1 medication, that we gotta keep going. We gotta keep going. And so for me, this is why I do a daily show, because it is a daily thing for me. I wish I could be like, my obesity's gone. No, like it's a disease, it's there. But I can do what I have within my power and my control, which is food choices, moving my body, changing my mindset, continuing to work on healthy, loving choices within that with therapy and other things too. So I love you guys so super much. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. No, I think that's it. We had talked in other videos about peak tea. Y'all, you're like, I love my Element electrolytes. I still have those. I am a beverage girly. 3 tumblers, like I have a coffee cup, a water sitting right next to me. And sometimes there's like a Diet Coke. So sometimes there's like 3 beverages next to me. But my Element electrolytes, but I have been weaving in and I've been loving peak tea. They have ginger, which helps for like tummy issues for me, and you can have it hot or cold. They also have a hibiscus tea, and it's for calming and beauty. Those are non-caffeinated. They do have caffeinated ones, but I like the I have been loving them. All that to say the point, loving them. So you can get your discount codes for all of those linked. You guys, I hope you know I negotiate for you guys. Like I negotiate hard. I use my business skill, my James Madison business degree to get you guys discounts. So use those discounts. And for Built Bar, many of you guys did take advantage of that Built Bar sale. I don't think there's a sale going on right now, but you can use the discount code. For them, it's Queen25. For the rest of my codes, they should just be Queen. The link's below. Stock up on your Built Bars. They're delicious. Protein bars, they're my favorite. They're like marshmallowy, which I like. Kind of like, what is that, Russell Stover's? It's like that consistency. Okay, my friends, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. I love you guys. Oh, wait, I didn't do our emoji of the day or our question of the day. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Our emoji of the day, it is going to be a doggy because I'm going to go walk my dogs. A doggy, and that is the bat signal that you've made it this far in the video so I can get to know you better because I truly do care about you. Seeing your name pop up over and over and over again really does help me to get to know the thousands of people within our community in a very easy fashion. And also, I will pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought because all are welcome at the Countess of Shopping table. And it's like our signal. So, I feel like it's Lady Gaga. Rah, 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 rah. Okay, I love you guys. Have a great day. Get your walks in if you can, and I'll see you tomorrow.